Our guest tonight was the fuel behind McQueen High School's 14-0 Nevada State Championship season back in 2008. He brought pizzazz to the BYU defense and won 2 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. But I have never seen him happier than when he made a hole-in-one on the golf course last week and ran around like he had been in the end zone for 5 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. It's a pleasure to welcome our friend Kyle Van Noy to the Wise Guys tonight. Kyle, welcome.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Really good. Great to have you with us, brother.
Let's start with this hole-in-one. Walk us through what happened. It's the happiest I've ever seen you.
Well, the funny thing is I almost hit one earlier that day. I got within, I want to say, a foot of the hole on one of them. And then, you know, when I actually hit a hole-in-one on the back nine, I don't think people believed me. I think there was a setup. So it took a while for people to like register, like, no, I actually won, because then I tweeted out that I got a flag for it. I had to sign the card, and I kept the ball, and I'm going to frame it.
Wait,
so
did you have to buy
it was awesome.
Did you have to buy everybody in the clubhouse drinks, Kyle? Because that's the tradition. Like you get a hole-in-one,
honestly,
you buy the clubhouse drinks.
I know. I lucked out. I didn't have to buy anyone, nothing. I just got the flag and ran, because I've heard at numerous places do open bars, and I would have to pick up the tab. So I'm lucky it didn't happen at one of those spots.
Here's what I saw in your tweet, and Tony Finau retweeted it. So now you're a member of the golf community. You hit the hole-in-one, and then you did a sprint from the tee box all the way down the sidewalk behind some trees, out onto the green, and the guys who you're playing with are still up on the green ready to shoot their shots. But it was like you were going after a quarterback. You were heading down to the hole.
Oh, yeah, I was gone. I was ready to chalk it up after that one. I was ready to go home. You know, it can't get much better than that. I mean, I ended up keep playing, and I got an 8 on one hole. So
you should have stopped.
I mean, I should have quit while I was ahead, right? It was awesome. It was. I wish the film guy would have filmed, but he was a little selfish, because he's like, well, I got hit too, you know? So it was awesome. They were all cool about it. Luckily, Keenan Allen told me that was his second one he's witnessed there. He got to see Justin Herbert hit a hole-in-one on the same course. So it was pretty lucky. I got to keep golfing with Keenan. He seems to be the lucky charm.
Good luck charm. What is it, Kyle, about this game of golf that attracts so many athletes from other sports, and everybody kind of falls in love with it and gets addicted to it? What's the draw to golf for everybody?
I think a little bit is the competitiveness that you can have, and it's a sport that's just you, right? Where a lot of us in the NFL and other sports are team sports. We're not playing individual sports, so it's something that we got to be competitive within ourselves to get better personally and achieve greatness or scratch or whatever is past that that people want to get to. And I think that just competitiveness, that I can play somebody else that is better and still keep it an even match, keeps a lot of people playing golf. I just enjoy so much of the camaraderie that I have with people that I go golfing with, the relationships that I build on courses being 4 hours. I got a trip planned in the next couple of weeks. I'm going up to Oregon to play. I'm really excited about it. I'm just all in right now and trying to get better. I got an instructor this year. I'm good to go.
Hey, the next time you're in Provo, you're golfing with us at Riverside.
It's funny though, Kyle. I want to know if Marissa does this. So I come.
No.
She doesn't. No, but I want to know if she asks you this. So when we go play, right? And Dave and I have like really fun playing parties. We play with Governor Herbert sometimes, and you're out there for 4 hours, right? And every time I walk in the door, Brenda says, so you guys were out there for 4 hours. What did you guys talk about? And I go, well, really nothing, hun. She goes, you were out there for 4 hours and you talked about nothing. I go, I don't know. We just talked about golf and stuff. She goes, come on, you're going to have to give me more than that. You can't be out there for 4 hours and just talk about golf and stuff. I'm like, honey, you don't understand, guys. That's what we did. Do you get the same questions from Marissa? Like, what did you do out there for 4 hours? What did you talk about?
No, she's ready to have me come home and hang out with the kids.
Oh, there you go.
It's her turn to be, yeah, it's her turn to be gone for 4 hours. No, she's awesome. I think when we're done playing, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to join a club somewhere, she'll get into it a little bit more. I think she's gone with me once or twice. She's actually really good. She's very talented, very athletic. She played volleyball in college at Westminster, so she's sneaky athletic. You don't see it because she's beautiful and smart, but she comes around the corner and catches you on a foot race, catches me from surprise on sometimes.
That's awesome. Hey, here's another first for you in 2023, your debut as an analyst on NFL Network leading up to the Super Bowl. How much fun was that?
Oh, man, it's something I really enjoy. I believe that's going to be what I'm going to do in the next chapter as my career ends down. I still got a lot of juice in the tank, though, so I just want to get my feet under me when it comes to being an analyst and get comfortable. And a lot of people have mentioned that I should do it, and I'm going to keep continuing that. But I'm going to keep my options open. I've also, I have people that want me to coach in the NFL that I've played for, as well as maybe be a GM one day. So I'm not closing the door on anything. I'm keeping my options open, but I really do love the TV analyst work. You're still part of a team. There's a lot of good people in that industry that have helped me already, and it's been awesome getting comfortable with that and getting more reps with it.
You've done quite a bit of it throughout your career. This was maybe your first network debut, right, to be at that level. But I think people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes and how much it takes to be able to be ready to do something like that. Doing it at this level, that give you even more appreciation for what's behind the scenes on all these broadcasts?
Yeah, it does. It gives me appreciation of you two, because you guys have been awesome for Brigham for so long, and for your guys' news networks that you guys have worked for. It also gives me appreciation for Greg Wrubell too, the voice, because he always comes up with good sayings. Like, man, I need to come up with some good sayings. The one that I love, I'm gonna make my head a little bit bigger right now. As he always said, when I made a play, KVN does it again. Yeah. I think that was really cool. People used to say that around town when I'd be out to eating. They would always mention that. So it's just cool that you guys are doing what you guys do, and I appreciate the love you guys have given me, because I know it doesn't always have to be positive. So I appreciate that. And what you guys do is not easy, even though some people that are armchair analysts or armchair quarterbacks think it's easy. I want them to get off the couch with the remote and come try it one of these days.
Yeah,
they would be stuttering quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember after you dismantled San Diego State by yourself, that you came over and sat down with Blaine and me as we were live on BYU TV, and you sat we got your microphone and you sat down in between us, and it was just a few minutes after the game, and there's just a very natural, honest demeanor that you have that resonates with the fans. It has as a player, and watching you with the NFL Network, I thought you were very good, and it's not easy.
Thanks. Yeah, I try to honestly just be myself, and I want to make it as fan-oriented as possible. I want it to exuberate that I know what I'm talking about, the passion, the love that I have for the game, but I also want to bring it down and talk with people like I'm at their home. And that's kind of the difference between me and other analysts. A lot of others kind of do like the over, and I'm not saying it's bad, because I love somebody like Michael Irvin, who is, his antics are amazing. He's so good at what he does, but that's not something that I do. I want to come and basically be on the same level as a fan would be, and talk with them like I'm at their home and, on the couch with them, hanging out.
Oh, that is such, Kyle, a great way to approach it.
Great plan.
Sometimes we'll be watching a game and somebody will, just not that long ago, we were watching a basketball game and the analyst said, well, and they went a red on defense and they started to talk in basketball lingo and people all looked at me and then I explained it to them and I thought to myself, that's not good broadcasting because I've always felt like if my mom can't understand it, then it's way above 90% of the people that are watching. Like the 3 coaches watching knew exactly what he was talking about, right? So what a great mentality. We're gonna do some reminiscing with you.
Okay.
About
how long are we going for? I want to make sure I get a charger if we're going for a little while. We can go all night if you want. I have no.
Keep a charger
I can
handy.
do this now.
Yeah, keep a charger.
I just want to make sure my charger is good to go.
Yeah, keep a charger hand. We'll go. We usually go half hour, 45 minutes with
that's
you.
cool.
Okay, great, perfect. All right,
so
I'll make it happen.
Hey,
awesome.
What advice did Marissa give you before you went on NFL Network for your debut?
Don't mess up. Honestly, she is the best partner I could ever have.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna brag about her for a little bit. She sacrificed her career for mine. I mean, she could have been one of the biggest models in the world. I mean, all her friends are now either Victoria's Secret model, Sports Illustrated, yada yada yada. But she gave up that opportunity to basically, be my biggest cheerleader, be my biggest support system. Now she owns 3 Golden Cranes where she buys and flips homes. She actually does homes in Alpine, Utah, does really well. She's done them everywhere we've lived. She's really killing it in that life as far as moving on into a different career. But honestly, I couldn't ask for a better partner. She preps me. She makes sure I'm on my P's and Q's every time I chance to get to represent not only myself, but my last name. That's important to her as well, making sure we represent each other the best of our abilities to what we want others to remember us about. And I appreciate her. I wouldn't be where I'm at without her because honestly, I wanted to retire really early in my career. And she was kind of like, you better shut up and suck it up and get out there type of deal. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have the career that I have. So I owe a lot to her.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Kyle may or may not remember, when you guys first were together, we would tease you a little bit and we'd be like, dude, how did you get her? She's so beautiful and she's so smart and she's a really, really good person, as we know that have known her in the past. And we used to tease him. And to Kyle's credit, he'd always go,
you're still teasing me, see?
No, I know. But back in those days, Kyle would say like, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. But we all realized at some point in our life, Kyle, that we outkicked our coverage, right? And it's so fun to hear you give her the kudos for what a phenomenal partner that she's been to help you with your career, which you really need to excel with what you've done, right? So you were drafted. Let's take you there. You were drafted by the Lions in the 2nd round way back in 2014, and you've been in the game ever since. And I'm wondering, is the NFL everything that you thought it would be? Now, all of these years later, it's almost a decade later, and then maybe as a follow-up to that, what are the biggest surprises that you've found playing in the league for so long?
My answer would be hell no. It goes that far. I think when you get drafted, I don't want to say naive because that I played in college and that kind of is a little it's college, but there's still, as you guys know, I wasn't treated as your normal college student. I was on and I don't mean to separate myself from other players and yada, 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 but it was more of just the different opportunities and the different tasks that I had to do. I was looked at as a professional, if that makes sense. And I was a little bit, it was awesome being able to then go into the NFL and actually get paid for those things like TV and, billboards and autographs and all those things. That was awesome. And then getting into a locker room where you got a bunch of guys that are hungry to get paid to pay their families, and you're around grown men that are trying to take your job, and you're dealing with coaches that you may not like, that you don't get along, or a head coach or a D coordinator or general managers or an owner that doesn't give players what they need. I mean, you're just exposed to so much. And as you get more and more in the game, you start to understand the NFL a little bit more. And it's honestly such a cool thing, and it's such a privilege to get drafted and to make money. I've done really well, but not everybody's like me. Not everyone comes out of this game a millionaire. Not everyone becomes a millionaire once they get drafted. And I think that's kind of the big misconception about it, is not everybody has great stories. There's a lot of bad stories out there that don't get talked about. And I'm one of the few that do have a great story, and I'll be able to tell that for the rest of my life. And mine's still going on, which is awesome. Like, there's not many people that are going to be able to say they played 10 years in the NFL. I mean, I literally went through a decade of different football and transformed my game of what it was to where it is now. I mean, I couldn't be more blessed to be in the opportunity that I have now. Am I bitter towards some situations? Of course. Like, have I gotten the short end of the stick in some situation? Yes. Have I gotten the big stick in some? Yes. But the one thing that I can always hang my hat on through this whole process is discipline. And I would say that's been the biggest thing for me, is the discipline to take each year and try to get better in whatever it is I can. And, we can go from the top. I started in Detroit, got drafted 40th overall. They actually traded up to get me. I didn't think I wanted to go there. I was actually mad they drafted me because they ran a 4-3 system.
Yeah.
And then after I got traded into my third year, I found out that I was a general manager's pick. So that means that the D coordinator didn't like me, but the head coach did. And they loved me so much that they wanted to trade up to get me, and basically told the DC, like, get him on the field. And he tried everything to not get me on the field. Plus, I had a couple of injuries on the way, so that made it a little rough start. If you guys have questions, go on.
Oh, yeah, we do. Let me jump in with this football question, because we're going to tackle the Patriots and Super Bowl here in just a bit. But since joining the league, you and Marissa have added 2 children to your family, Trey and Giovanna. How have they influenced the way that you view the game of football?
Ooh, that's a good question. That it's not everything. It used to be everything to me, right? It still means a lot to me, but my family means more. It used to be, first it used to be football, faith, and family. Now it's family, football, faith. And it's changed a lot, and my whole schedule revolves around them when I work out. I was just talking to my wife about this earlier. It's just, that's crazy, because I used to wake up and it was just like bam, bam, bam. Now it's like, wake up, we got the kids, make sure they're good, make sure wifey's good, and then, all right, let's get on with what we need to get on.
That's great. I remember when we talked to you, and Dave did an interview with you in California just ahead of the 2014 draft. You talked about how much your parents, Kelly and Lane, have meant to you. We remember that you said your mom's advice has always been right. How much have they enjoyed 2 things? You bringing grandkids to the family for them, and bring the NFL for 9 years now, going on 10 years into the family as well. Two things that you brought to this family: grandkids and the NFL. How's your mom felt about all that?
Yeah, I think my mom's super proud. My dad actually works at BYU, which is crazy. I didn't think that would ever happen, but he loves it. He works there. He's doing good. I think he does that's bad. I should know what he does, but I'm pretty sure he works the women's basketball games and the soccer games and whatnot. And he loves it, and he does great at it. And I think it's been different this year because I've been on the West Coast, a lot of East Coast living for the 8 season. So they got to see me play. But this year, I mean, they came out to, I want to say, like 7 games.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I think it was so awesome to have them an hour flight to come to almost every game and just experience the whole thing and hang out with the family too. And, you know, it's awesome. And sometimes they forget that it's work for me and vacation for them, but they're so supportive. They've been awesome through this whole, my whole decade almost of being in the NFL. They've been very supportive, and I don't think they could be very much more proud than they already are of me.
Isn't it interesting how our parents replace us with the grandkids the second they show up? Like, we think we're all, you know, contributors to family and all that. Once the grandkids come in the house, that's it.
Yeah, that's okay. That is totally fine with me. It takes the pressure off me answering all the questions and giving it to them, right? They need the spotlight. Trey and G are a handful, that's for sure.
That's awesome. You were telling us a little bit about, and we want to get into this last season too, but that transition didn't have a great experience. When you were just telling that experience, I didn't realize that it was that way for you at Detroit. I knew that there were some struggles. It sounds almost like the exact same.
It was awful.
It sounds just like Jason Buck's experience. He gets drafted by the Bengals, and the defensive line coach hated his guts, belittled him, didn't want to put him on the field. And it wasn't until Jason got traded to the Redskins, and they loved him there because the position coach wanted him. Then he thrived and played in Super Bowls. Did that same transition happen for you when you went from the Lions to the Patriots?
Yeah. I kind of battled through a little depression there, right? You see one of your best friends in college that you taught how to play football, and Ziggy Ansah, right? Yeah. And he's the franchise player. And you come in and you're like, I taught this kid how to play. Like, I know how to play. Like, and I can't even get on the field. Like, we switched roles, right? A little bit, right? I used to be the franchise player at BYU, and he kind of sat out for a little bit, but then he got an opportunity and thrived. I took off, and then I sat on the bench and watched him flourish. Now, I was happy for him. I'm not a hater by any means. That is the last thing I am, but it was just so a tough pill to swallow for me as the competitor that I am, and somebody who I feel very confident in my game on a football field, to sit back and watch and can't do anything about my situation. And it wasn't until I got traded that I was able to express my situation. And I'll never forget it. It was October 25th. October 25th, 2016, 1:00. I got a phone call from the Lions GM. You know, hey, Van Noy, I want to appreciate all that you did for the Lions organization. Yeah, this, and the third. We traded you. We appreciate you. And before he hung up, I was like, yo, where did I get traded to? And he said he said the Patriots. Click. That was it. So then ended up getting traded. Flew out that night, which was a Tuesday night. I landed 1:00. Had to take a late flight because I was doing things already on my off day. So then I had to wake up at 5:00, do a physical, took the physical, passed. I jumped right in. They throw me right into a meeting with my position coach, and started learning the defense. And then I go to the team meeting, and I sit in the back, which is funny as it in itself. And then I'm thrown into I've been there for the 3 years of my career, and then went to practice, was full padded practice. We're smacking, and I'm kind of looking around what? This is crazy. And then they throw me out into practice, and it was a 7-on-7 period, versus Tom and the Jules and Gronk, James White, and I'm out there with Hightower in the starting defense, and I'm looking around this is real. And they throw me out, and I'm one-on-one with James White first play, and I have great coverage on him, and I'm running stride for stride, and the ball gets whipped right by my head. Like I could feel the air just go by my ear hole, and he catches it, and I like try to rip it out and almost rip it out. James doesn't say anything because he's quiet, and I'm like, "Yo, how the blah 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 did he get that?" And then I turned back, and Tom's like smiling, like nodding, like, "Yeah, you're playing with the GOAT now," and it was so awesome to like have that competitiveness right away. Like I thrive in that. And then end up at the end of practice, I ended up picking Jimmy G and like threw him back the ball. And that's kind of when I started getting the respect of the guys, and then ended up being an all-decade linebacker there. And the rest is history with 2 Super Bowl wins.
Were you? We'll talk about those Super Bowls in a bit. Were you nervous to meet Bill Belichick, the master of the game?
I forgot that in the story. So I didn't meet him until the middle of practice. Like he in punt practice, he's like twirling his whistle like he always does, and he was like, "Yo, Van Noy," and he like waves me over, and he's like, "Man," he's like, "Let me tell you something." As he's twirling his whistle, he's like, "I always get my guys." He's like, "You've been one of my guys since you came out of college, and I'm sorry I couldn't get you in the draft, but I got you. And no, I want you to be successful." And just that, after everything I just went through, to have the greatest coach, one of the greatest defensive minds to ever give to play or coach in football, to give me that confidence and instill that right away. Anything in my career before that, it didn't even matter. I had a clean slate, and I took off from there. And it was awesome to finally have confidence from somebody like that, and that magnitude in the middle of the season gave me that. I just took off from there.
What a story.
Yeah, that's great. Isn't it interesting, Kyle? Like, you always knew you could play. You always had confidence. Yeah. At BYU, you knew you could play, but you get in a system where guys start making you doubt because they don't believe in you and won't even give you opportunity.
And they don't put you in positions to succeed. It's like most people's systems, which I think is wrong in the NFL, is like, this is my system. Yeah. If you're not 6 foot, run a 4.4, this, and the third, you can't play. Versus whatever guys I have on my roster, I'm going to either play a 3-4, a 4-3, a hybrid. I'm going to if I have somebody that's not necessarily dominant at a middle linebacker, I'll put them at outside. I'm going to find ways to get these players in the best positions to succeed. And I don't think enough teams do that in the NFL. That's why you see a lot of missed draft picks. That's other stuff too. But I think so many teams are just stuck with like, I'm running a 4-3 and that's it, or a 3-4 and that's it. And offenses are too good. They do too many stuff now that you have to be multiple, and you have to give them so many different looks to make them not comfortable in whatever it is they're trying to do. You need to dictate the game defensively. And I think that's why people want me to coach.
Yeah, there you go. And it's interesting because what you've been through, Kyle, you'll be the kind of coach that understands, like Bill Belichick understands, this is my guy, and I'm going to tell him he's my guy, because I know if he's confident and he knows I believe in him, he's going to play faster, he's going to hit harder, he's going to play loose, and he's going to be a great player. He needs to know that I believe in him. What a difference that made for you. That's a great story, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad I get that the rest of my life, too. I hope to take that, and I try to take that with anything I'm doing, whether it's business, whether it's speaking to a young kid that needs help, whoever, business people, just the amount that if you have the respect and the confidence and the humbleness to be on the same page and get exactly what you want communicated is key. I mean, that's half the problem with people that are going through marriage problems is communication. If people are just communicate, you can do so many good things. And that's kind of what I try to do, is just be a very, very good communicator.
Hey, promise us someday when you're drafting Trey's Little League team and you get the pitcher you want, you pull him aside and you say, hey, I want you to know, I always get my guy.
I love that.
Kyle Van Noy.
I don't know. It's funny.
Kyle Van Noy on the Wise Guys tonight. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com all around the world. A great year with the Chargers this last season, a strong finish. Free agency starts on March 15th, which puts you out on the open market. Where do you want to play? And what about a return to the Patriots? I read something today where that might be an idea being kicked around. What do you got going on?
I'm not going back there, I don't think. They're too good on defense. They don't need me. That was just a conversation with me and one of the players. Matthew Judon, who's really good, been awesome for them. They definitely need to pay him a lot more. He's got 35 sacks in 2 years. That's crazy. But that's a side note. Yeah, we were just tweeting, and he acts like he's the GM every year. And I said, hey, I'm a free agent again. What's up? He's like, bring him back.
Bring him back.
It kind of
so what do you think? What do you think about the market? And then how does Marissa deal with free agency?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's tough. I mean, honestly, it's been 4 years in a row, right, since 2019, which is it's just crazy because I feel like I'm a pretty good player. I'm a starting caliber player, and to have to potentially be on a fourth team in 4 years and play 700 snaps, have over 50 tackles, 5 sacks every year, plus forced fumbles, picks, whatever other stats you want to look up, to have to always feel like you have to play year to year to prove. I mean, you always have to do that, but to not have any security is kind of crazy. But, that's where it goes into that bucket of not liking the NFL, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But she deals with it better than I do, because I get annoyed because I'm like, what are these coaches watching? Like, if you look at every team that I've been on, I've made them better. Yeah. And I'm not tooting my horn in that sense, but it's more of because I bring an element of IQ and a standard. Like, I don't want to be on the field and risk my job with people that don't take it as serious as I do, that are just trying to get paid and want to go outside the system, when I know what it takes to win championships, and that's why I'm still playing. And it's hard to get young guys to buy in. It's hard to get older guys that have been in a losing environment for so long to buy into that. But if you look at all the places I've been to, even in Detroit, when I did play, I made them better. Yeah. It's just something I've always have done since I was in Little League. It didn't matter where team I played for, I always made them better, and I hang my hat on that. I mean, the Chargers defense the year before was atrocious, and then we were better this year. We were atrocious in one category, but we were a lot better overall. And I feel like I was a big factor to that. Since Joey Bosa was out, I was able to step into his spot and provide a spark.
Well, you certainly, when you were saying all that, when you said I make every team I'm on better defensively, I just want to just scream out fact. Yeah. Like, that's not an opinion, that's a fact, right?
Yeah.
So what? Certainly, you'll find a team, and I know you leave a lot of that up to your agent. But have you had conversations? I think you're going for a Charger, right, Kyle?
Yeah. I'm trying to turn on the light. Sorry. I'm trying to.
No worries.
Yeah. I can still hear you.
Yeah. Are there any irons in the fire? Were there some opportunities, or can you not really talk about it until those things are solidified a little bit more?
No, I'm open to talk about it. It's more of what's the best situation for my family now. Like, I would leave to go back to Chargers. I got to do businesses being teams that have shown interest. I won't say who they are, but they all have been Super Bowl they're all Super Bowl contenders.
Nice.
which is awesome. And it's exciting, but at the end of the day, like, what's that number look like? We can sit here and talk about being interested and you liking me, but until I see a number, you got to show me you love me type of deal.
Right.
Yeah, we've moved on. We're way past the slap on the helmet. Now it's here's how much you mean to us and what we'll pay. And the fact that you're a veteran does make you expensive, and the fact that you're a successful player makes you expensive. But and it worked.
Yeah, but they also they claim, oh, you're 32, blah blah blah. You know. And it's like, oh, you got to look at the stats and look at the production. They're still the same.
Only in your world, only in the sports world is 32. Like, oh, you're 32. Like, that's old.
Yeah. Like, I always say I'm experienced.
That's right. That's right. Right. It is experience.
Well, we look forward to that process because the Chargers were better when you were on the field, and we noticed it because we watched you play and you and Michael Davis and pulled for you guys all season. And so,
man, I'm so proud of him. Let's talk about him just for a sec. Right. His growth and maturity as a human, I mean, I can't say enough. Being around him this last year has made me so happy, so proud, because I've been on his case forever just to always get better, right? I still shoot him texts like, save your money, or, you better be in the gym, just little stuff like that. And to see him and watch him battle, because they tried to bench him this year, and then eventually an injury happened and he ended up getting back on the field and then was the cornerback number 1 for us. He was the best corner overall the entire season and set himself up to get an extension right now is amazing. So happy for him and his success, and for his mom and his family. Like, he's such a good dude. He works so hard. He stays out of trouble. He stays quiet, flies under the radar, and he deserves the world.
Awesome. He's quite a player. Every time he plays great for another season, it vindicates me a little bit, Kyle, because back when he was at BYU, I made a comment on the air on one of our TV shows, and I said, Michael Davis, I said, from a physical skill set, he's as good as anybody Alabama has. I said, he is fast, he's physical, he can cover, he's got great hips. I'm telling you, he's as good and as talented as anybody that Alabama has. And another former player on Twitter called me out and said, that's it. Blaine's gone to drugs. He's been smoking dope. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That kid's not any good. So when he was starting, I didn't even have to get after this guy. I'm not going to name his name. Everybody else is like, remember when you called?
No, you can name his name. Come on. This is what it's all about. This is how you get your views up. This is how we create a little drama. Okay, you got to call him out.
Derek Stevenson.
There you go.
Derek Stevenson.
Come on, Derek. Good old Derek Stevenson will say what he needs to say.
He said I was on drugs, and which, whether that's true or not, doesn't matter. I was right about Michael, and I had just said, Michael plays in a zone-based system at BYU right now, but he's going to get picked up by an NFL team that lets him play in a primarily man-based system, and he's as good as a man guy as there is. And nobody believed me, but I saw that in him, and it just puts a smile on my face every time I watch a game and he's out there, because I know how hard he's worked to get to there, and it's great to see him out there. And you've been a great mentor to him and like a big brother to him, so it's really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
Kyle Van Noy's on the Wise Guys during his time at BYU, 2010 to 2013, started 36 games. 62 tackles for loss, 26 sacks, 7 interceptions. A lot of those were called by us, which was a lot of fun for us. So Kyle, BYU kicked off spring practice this week ahead of the Big 12. Think back, what did you enjoy the most about spring practice?
Not playing.
That's the truth right there. I said truth before. I'm going to say it right now.
That's funny. I did all spring, I think, except one. I didn't do my junior year because I had surgery, but I always took it as a chance to get better in the pass game, like understanding zone, understanding, where I can take chances, reading the quarterback's eyes better, moving with the quarterback, because it's 7-on-7 at the end of the day. And then I still try to do that when I play off the ball, is just getting the best break and, trying to get myself tired in spring ball so that it makes it harder and more game-like in spring, that you have to focus that much more during those 7-on-7 and team periods.
And now that BYU, they played their last game in Independence, which is crazy to think of. They're officially in football, getting ready to play their first Big 12 schedule. What does that mean? And there's a lot more Big 12 players in the National Football League than there were from the Mountain West or the WAC. A little more rivalry in the locker room, maybe for you. What's your thought on BYU moving into the Big 12?
Well, first of all, they need to. I might get in trouble for this. Take some of that money they have saved up in the church and put it into the NIL department.
We've had the NIL guys on here. They're working on it. They're working on that.
I know. They have it. I think there's people higher ups being stingy. That's what I think. I think they need to give the players what they deserve. If you want to compete and not get embarrassed, you need to pay for those players. And it's the only way to do it, and they should. Kalani deserves it. He's been a heck of a coach when he's had talented players.
Yeah.
When he has the talent, he can coach. When you don't have the talent, you're going to see what you have like last year a little bit. Now, they got better, and they were talented in some areas, but you need talent at every level, and you need to have talent 1 and number 2 deep of guys. And yeah, that's what I think. They need to pay for what they get. You can't rely on just getting that 2-star, 3-star type of dude to think they're going to pan out, especially with the speed those teams have. Yeah, that's what I think.
Who was it, Dave, that was with us? You like this saying, Kyle, because you were talking about sayings for broadcasters, but this was a coach that said, "Oh, everybody talks about coaching. It's pretty simple. Coaching isn't about X's and O's. It's about Jacobs and Joes."
It was.
Who said that? He says it's about the guys. Like, you're a really good coach when you got dudes, you're good. When you don't have dudes, you're not good.
It was the pastor. It was the good pastor.
That's right, Derwin Gray, Pastor Gray, who was a star here and played with the Colts for 4 seasons, and is a pastor of a big church back on the East Coast now. He said that. He's like, guys, everybody needs to realize it's not about X's and O's. It's about Jacobs and Joes. And I like that. That's a great saying.
Yeah.
Forecast, let's say Trey's going to play football. Forecast what the game might even look like, because we're now getting into NIL. Yeah, we're now getting into NIL and the transfer portal, and that's had an impact on today's game. Forecast in your crystal ball what it might look like 14, 15, 16 years from now.
I don't even know. I honestly hope he tries to play a different sport.
Yeah.
Hopefully golf. If he wants to play, I'm honestly not. I'm not one of those anti people. You're not going to play football, because at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to stop my son trying to do something he loves to do.
Yeah.
If that's what he really loves and his passion, and he wakes up every day with a burning sensation to go do that, then go do it. I'm not going to hold him back from that. And I'm going to support him and do whatever I can to help him out. But I don't know what football is going to look like, but I see it more like the Big 12 where it's 7-on-7.
I'll tell you this, in 16, like right now, you can't breathe on a quarterback without getting a penalty. 16 years from now, they're going to put him in a plastic bubble.
Yeah.
And you'll just come hit the bubble and bounce off, and they'll count it as a sack or something, because they protect those guys. Bad. And I'm an old QB, and I think they protect them too much. It's crazy.
But you got to look at it like this, though, too. The NFL is a business, and they're going to protect their business, and the biggest investments on the field are the quarterbacks. And when you don't have good quarterback play, you get some of these other leagues, right? Mm-hmm. Not very good.
Right.
And they're going to do whatever they can. Now, I can get mad about it, or I can adjust and do whatever I need to do to continue, being successful and getting paid by getting sacked. But it is a problem. I think it's a little stupid what they've done. It does hurt the game. They've already done enough by receivers not going over the middle, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, these receivers are going crazy and they have so many yards. It's like they don't get hit. You have to barely touch them. But yeah, I want to know. I want to hear what you guys are around it more than me. I want to hear your thoughts about, BYU as a whole and where they're at. Do you feel like BYU sports has taken a step back in the last couple of years? Do you think, in all sports, do you think there's been a lack of juice from up top? I mean, yes, they can sit here and get us into the Big 12, but are they doing enough to provide the kids to be successful, whether that's the track team, the volleyball teams, or the basketball teams? That's kind of would be my question, because from my angle, I have something that I can say, but you guys are in it. You guys see it every day.
Yeah, no,
and I know you guys got to be careful of what you say, right?
And hey, this is the honesty show today.
Yeah,
right?
it's the honesty.
So here's the interesting thing. Big 12 is a really good league in almost all sports. BYU on the women's side will go in like their soccer team's top 5 in the country every year. They played the national championship game 2 years ago. And when we talked to Jen Rockwood, the soccer coach, she's like, oh, no, we go in expecting to win the championship in the league next year. So they're really, really good. Track, men's track and field and women's track and field and cross country. Cross country are both top 5 programs in the country. Track and field is a top 10 program in the country. Women's softball will compete for a championship year 1 in the Big 12.
Women's volleyball.
Isn't it interesting? Women's volleyball is nationally ranked and has played in like 9 straight Sweet 16s. So on the women's side, they go in really equipped to compete in that league right now. On the men's side, there's more to be done. The independence part of the football has actually helped them because they've had to play more P5s. And you think about it, two years ago, basically, they were Pac-12 champs 2 years ago. It's a little bit cyclical. But here's the thing that you were saying that we all get. And we agree with you, and that is BYU's got to be able to compete in this NIL game. They don't necessarily have to pay as much as USC's going to pay kids, right? Because maybe we're not even recruiting the same kid. But it has to be competitive so that the kids don't feel like, well, man, I really want to come to BYU, but this is just so ridiculously different. Like, I'm stupid if I don't go up the road to Utah and play. And here's where they're at with it, Kyle. And this give you a little bit of peace. BYU doesn't do anything fast, right? They know where they need to get. So they've taken a little bit of time to put these things together, and now they've got good people, and they've looked at it with I don't know how many attorneys about how you can do this and how you can legally do it and how we're not going to get in trouble. And they're just now, we just had the new guy that runs the NIL Collective. They're just now ready to be able to go out and start competing. And we asked him a few weeks ago on the show, can BYU compete in the Big 12? Can BYU pay kids like TCU or like Iowa State? Or, we don't expect them to play like USC and Alabama, right? But can they compete with these others? And he said, absolutely. Now that we have the structure in place, we're going to be able to be on a more competitive basis. So, because we were concerned about the same thing. So now we'll see. BYU's never going to be the first to the game on something like that. But hopefully now that they're rolling it out, they'll do it right. So I don't know if that's a good enough answer, because we agree with you. If they can't compete in that area, we won't have the Jacobs and Joes. So it won't matter how good the X's and O's are.
And the Big 12 money that's going to come, and it's going to be 3 times what they've been dealing with the ESPN contract since you played in the first independent game in Mississippi.
Yeah, that helps.
They've been invited, and they are officially invited on July 1 of this year, and then they join competition this fall, but there haven't been any big checks sent yet because they haven't started yet. And so that money is coming. And as you know, it's taught from the top down to all of us in our families: live within your means and don't spend what you don't have. But when you have it,
you better spend it.
You better spend it. And so I think better days are ahead from that. They've been operating on an independent budget for 12 years.
Which is not what people think. Now, the hard thing, Kyle, is, and you know this, everybody knows this, that league in basketball is the most dominant league in college basketball and has been for 12 years. You can talk SEC in football and Big Ten in football. Big 12 significantly better than they have 6 teams in the top 22 right now.
Yeah.
They have 3 teams in the top 10. They have the 1 and 3. And so like you can spend a lot of money to try to compete with that and still maybe finish 5th in the league. But so the goals may be a little bit different for basketball. It's just like you go into that league and if you're
I'm just talking about being competitive at the end of the day. Like you don't want a school to go in there and look like a bunch of slaps, like what Kansas did for football for the last decade. And, they've turned the corner now, but TCU in basketball for a decade.
Yeah, and they're ranked now. They're finally ranked.
Yeah, they're great now. I'm just saying it took them, finally look at them now. They were in the national championship
in football
this last year in football. So I'm just saying, are they going to do the necessary things to be competitive?
I think in football they'll be competitive pretty quick. In basketball, it may take a little. Here's the nice part about the Big 12. If you're 7th place in the Big 12, you probably still go to the NCAA tournament. And in the league they've been in the WCC,
if you don't win,
you got to be top 3.
You may not.
You got to be top 3 because St. Mary's, Gonzaga are good.
Right. And so it's a different challenge. Now the good news about basketball is you get 2 really good dudes and some role players, like 2 NBA dudes and some role players.
Yeah,
you can turn it around pretty quick, a lot faster than you can in football. So we have some hope. I think football, we've been talking about a really nice goal for them this next year is to be bowl eligible and win 7 games as an over-under.
Pretty good.
And we think that they can do that. If they can do that, fans are going to have to get used to the first couple years not winning 10 or 11 games, right? But give them 3 years with the money and the NIL deals, be able to get those out there and to get more of the top kids. And I think within 2 or 3 years they can be competitive in that league in football. And that's what the dollars come in for, is for football. So hey,
let's do some memory lane stuff since you told us we could stay here all night. So before we do, one of the live streamers in our shows all over the place tonight, and the podcast will be out tomorrow. Please ask Kyle why he says Brigham instead of Brigham Young or BYU or Cougars or McQueen or any of those other things when you're being introduced.
This next season, I was actually thinking about doing my high school.
Yeah.
I got another question, but I'll ask it at the end. I was going to do McQueen this next season, but I've always said Brigham. There's lots of reason. I think I don't want to get dicey, all right? But I'll just say it sounds cooler.
There you go.
It sounds cooler.
There's the political answer.
Yeah, I love it. That's fine. That's all good. So, hey, let's talk about a few games. We want to talk about some BYU games that were memorable for us, probably memorable for you too. And we're going to take you all the way back to September 3rd, 2012. It's BYU's first game in Independence. And it's late in the game at Ole Miss, which is a historic program in the SEC. You cause a fumble, you scoop it up, and you dive into the end zone, and you guys win that game 14-13. Do you remember that one, and what was that like?
That was awesome. That one meant a lot because of the off-season work that I did. I think I was about 220 my freshman year. And then I was probably around 235. So I put on 15 pounds. And just a lot of off-season work that went on, double days by myself, a lot of training with K-pop. That's why I'm such a big fan. He took so much independent time with me to get me ready and prep me. And I think I couldn't believe it was 3rd and 21 and they tried to block me with the tight end. That was crazy. But a little nugget though is Jamison Frazier did a really good job of going up and under. And then I ran the hoop. I think it was a design play to get the QB to think he could take the edge and I would be running around. And then luckily Ethan missed the ball, scoop and score. Thank you, Ethan. And then I picked it up and scored and then pranced around like a little girl in the end zone. doing ballerina dances, and then ended up winning the game. And it was awesome. It was really cool to start it off that way. And we had such an amazing turnout with fans. So it was awesome to see a bunch of shocked people down in Mississippi.
Later that year, the Poinsettia Bowl against San Diego State, you block a punt, you get a strip sack, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. A few minutes later, you return an interception for a touchdown. We were there with you. Was that the best of Kyle Van Noy? Was that sequence just the best?
Yeah, that was pretty stupid, right? I mean, honestly, to me, I was actually on Coach Mendenhall's show the other day. Can't believe he's doing a show and speaking, right?
Wow.
And I talked with him about it a little bit, but the sequence of my freshman year, because of all I had to endure, probably meant the most to me. But that production-wise was just stupid and absurd. Probably should have went to the NFL after that year, but I didn't because I had to go, end up married, getting engaged to my wife and graduating college. So
yeah, you did the right thing on that.
It's the thing. Sometimes it may have been better for the start of your career, but hey, it seems like everything worked out great.
It worked
you
out.
and Marissa are fabulous. You've had almost a decade and it's still rolling. And it's like, so I don't know, maybe you were supposed to come back for that next year.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time. Like, people are always say, what are the best defensive plays you've ever seen? And I say the two best defensive plays and series I've ever seen in football, any level, anywhere, are Kyle Morrell diving over the line on 4th and 1 at the goal line to tackle he dove over the top of the center and tackled the quarterback from behind to stop a quarterback sneak and preserve the national championship run. And then I say, that's one of the single best plays I've ever seen. And I said, Kyle Van Noy in that San Diego State game, I've never seen anything like it. I would always say, Kyle, it almost seems like in Kyle's mind, he said to himself, well, the offense isn't going to get this done, so let's go win this thing on defense. And then just boom, 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 boom. And you single-handedly won the game by yourself. Did there come a point in that game where you said, well, if the offense isn't going to do so, because I've said that, I think Kyle must have been thinking this. I want to know for real if that ever went through your mind.
It's so crazy because I blacked out. I don't even remember the game. And it's not like I had a concussion, but it was just like I had a bunch of TFLs. I had a block punt. I had a forced fumble in the end zone that just did not make sense. And then the guy threw it to me later and caught it. And then I had another one where I had a holding, and then me and Preston tackled him at the same time for another sack. And I was just sitting on the bench, and all these people are looking at me, and I'm just like, what's going on? I don't even remember. And then I just remember trending on Twitter all night, and I was just staring at my phone this is dumb. What are we doing? What did you just do? And didn't hit me until later, I think years after playing that, I went back and watched it, and somebody had it on YouTube, and it's a whole highlight tape in a game.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it was so crazy. And I'm like, man, I used to be the man.
You were.
Hey, folks.
But no, it was awesome. It's cool. I'm glad we get to share the moment together. You're a part of it too.
Fun. And we were there. We were
in the end zone.
We were standing right in the end zone where you did most of the damage, and then we got to have you on set right after that game. But it's fun. Hey, folks that are listening in, watching in on all our different platforms, which are what do we got? We got YouTube tonight, Twitch, Facebook. Wise Guy, all streaming all over all these platforms all over the world. Kyle just described what an out-of-body experience is. He just did a perfect description where he went nuts for a football game and made every play on the field, and it was an out-of-body experience because he doesn't even remember it. How fun is that?
Now, I think one of the reasons you were meant to come back in 2013, in addition to meeting your wife and getting your degree, which you promised your mother, nice job for getting that done.
Yeah.
September 7th, 2013, BYU hammers 20th ranked Texas 40-21. There's a torrential rainstorm, delays the game by a couple of hours, and then you go out there on the field and dominate the Longhorns on ESPN.
I wanted that one bad.
How come?
I remember that one. just because we should have beat them in Texas. I mean, it was 13-3. Yeah, it was 13-3 going into halftime, and we lost 17-16.
Yeah.
Malcolm Brown ended up turning up on us. He's played for the Los Angeles Rams for a while, and he ended up playing really well. And I'm friends with a lot of those Texas players for whatever reason. Quandre Diggs was there. He's on the Seahawks. Kenny Vaccaro, he went first round to the Saints, played for 8 years. Sergio Kindle was drafted by the Ravens. I mean, they were loaded up on both offense and defense. Malcolm Brown was my teammate with the Patriots. A lot of good players on that team. They ended up beating us. And then when they came to Brigham, that's why nobody wants to sign that 1-for-1 deal.
No way,
everyone's petrified to come up there and play. And it was awesome. It was a night to remember. I remember Taysom just running like Forrest Gump everywhere, hurdling folks. And, you know, we ended up getting Mac Brown fired. Sorry about that. And it was just a really good night. I think it proved to the country that we were for real. Like, we were finally, like, in the P5 conversation. Like, we can play with anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. That was a night. It looked like you were having a blast. You watched the games on YouTube. It's on BYUtv.org. You can watch it anytime, and it just looks like number 3's out there. It looked like you were smiling half the game, but you were chasing guys down.
Yeah,
hey,
it was a fun game.
Kyle Van Noy's on the Wise Guys with us tonight, former BYU linebacker. Played in 3 Super Bowls so far. I'm going to say so far. Because the one thing he did tell us is that some of the teams he's talking to are Super Bowl contenders. I like hearing that. He's won 2 of those Super Bowls, which is pretty awesome. We're so glad to have him with us tonight. Hey, now let's go. We'll get a little pro reminiscing. February 5th, 2017. Your Patriots trail the Falcons by 25 in the third quarter, and then you rally to win in overtime. Now, Tom Brady, as always happens, he got the headlines, right? But your defense down the stretch was just as important. What a change, a swing in that game to come back and win that game. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, giving up only 21 points, there was a pick 6 in the game that everyone forgets.
Right.
So we only gave up 21 points to an offense that had, I think, 3 Pro Bowlers on the O-line. Alex Mack leading the way, who was unbelievable, played like 12, 15 years at center. You had Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman.
Yep.
Matt Ryan, Taylor Gabriel, Sanu in his prime, and Julio is still in his prime.
Yep.
And then you had a young Austin Hooper. Offense, super skilled. Running Shanahan's offense, which is really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And to only give up 21 points is a miracle. But just the whole second half was just one play mentality. No one said anything at halftime. Jules tries to say he did. No, he didn't. No one said nothing. Everybody was he just said one thing, it's going to be a hell of a score. He didn't give any speech or anything. And it was just a crazy comeback win. And I'll never forget, somebody that I'm close with sent me a picture in the third quarter. They loaded the cannons with black and red confetti, and then, had to change that real quick. They showed the video of them changing it at the end of in overtime. Like when we were driving, they switched it real quick. So what an awesome experience. It meant a lot to me and my wife to just celebrate together. It meant a lot. Winning a championship is a drug. It's all you think about when you play, and you've secured the bag. It's all you want. It's unbelievable that a bunch of grown men chase these diamonds, right? This diamond trophy. But it means a lot, and it is awesome. It's an amazing euphoria that you get from it, and it is a trip, and it changes your life, and it changes your whole family's life. And it was awesome to get a speech like that from Tom Brady. When you win, it literally changes your whole life, good or bad.
What's the nicest thing Tom Brady ever said to you?
I don't think it's the nicest. The coolest thing he's done is bought dinner for me without me knowing.
Oh, yeah?
Like, yeah. You know, waitress comes up and is like, hey, you're all taken care of. And I'm like, who paid for it? And they're like, Tom. And I'm like, where the hell is he at? And he's in this private room in the back. So I pop my head in there like, man, what you doing? Like, I worked hard. You showed me up in front of my wife. But no, he's an amazing dude. He's like an older brother. And honestly, it's just awesome to be part of his journey and help him achieve what he's wanted to achieve, which is 7 Super Bowls. I mean, it's awesome to be a part of that.
Amazing. You gave us a little bit of insight into Bill Belichick, who, when you got there, told you you've been one of his guys ever since you came out of college. We see him on TV, and he always looks like he's grumpy, and his short answers with everybody in the media. Is he misunderstood by everybody that just watches him on TV? Is he really that way, or is he?
I think that's his persona he has, and it's awesome. He's kept it up this long. He's actually awesome. Players coach behind closed doors, very sarcastic. So that's why I think I like him so much. Is his joking is like mine, and his IQ level of football, being able to like sit and chat ball with him, and then his problem solving is what makes him different. That's why he's so elite. Is his problem solving skills are. Yeah. I mean, nobody can compete. I would say the next person that can would be Andy Reid.
Oh yeah.
Those two battle it out. It's awesome.
Yep, we love Andy. Andy's one of my really, really good friends that coached when I was playing. So at BYU at Brigham, right?
At Brigham.
Yeah, Brigham.
He was a quarterbacks coach GA with Mike Holmgren at Brigham when I was there playing quarterback. So I love Andy. He's my guy.
Two more questions, and we'll hit you with 5 quickies, and we'll get you out of here. We sure appreciate the time with the great Kyle Van Noy.
Awesome, Kyle. Thanks for spending so much time with us.
Yeah.
Eagles beat you in the Super Bowl in 2018, but you're back in the big game. The next year, you hold the high-powered Rams to a Super Bowl record 3 points. So never mind the 21 the Falcons got. You held the Rams to a field goal. You had 5 tackles and a sack in that. What was the difference? Was the joy the same with your second Super Bowl ring?
Yes, it was, because we weren't supposed to beat the Chiefs. We went into Arrowhead Stadium. No one thought we could win. We ended up throwing a no-hitter against Mahomes, and then they scored 35 points in the second half, which is stupid. But it's hard to slow down that many good players. I mean, they had so many. You have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, your third receivers, Sammy Watkins, Damian Williams is your running back, who's stupid fast. And then Pat Mahomes, he's unbelievable right now. I mean, his confidence is through the roof now. He just won another one. And he's getting better in the pocket and reading coverages, and he's a problem. And now he's got a good old line protecting him. That's I think what you see, what they've done there. They got actually a former teammate of mine, Joe Tooney, who showed up as the veteran, and then they drafted a rookie center who turned into a Pro Bowl All-Pro, and then a guard that's really good. Then they traded for Orlando Brown, and then Wiley ended up panning out at right tackle, and he played at guard, and he wasn't very good, so good for him. And they're just clicking right now. Really good team. And then when you have a coach like Andy Reid dialing up, especially some of the plays you saw in the Super Bowl where, he knows how to attack people, man. It's you got to be ready. You got to have. I tell people you got to have 3 different game plans with that man. You got to switch it up, and You got to have everybody be on their P's and Q's, and you just got to be locked in for 4 quarters. It's tough.
So the best part about that season was the upset in the.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even talk about the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Sorry,
the
the Super Bowl.
Well, here's the thing, because that AFC Championship game, you're right. Everybody's like, well, this is the Super Bowl.
It was.
Right?
Yeah, it really was. And then the Super Bowl was tough. I mean, we were glad that the Saints lost, right? They were rolling.
Yeah.
Kamara was unbelievable. Drew was clicking. You had Michael Thomas. They were balling that year. The Rams got that call, appreciate it, refs. And then we were confident against them. We switched. We knew that McVay was talking to Goff. You have 15 seconds in the green dot. And so we found out that he was talking to Goff the full time. Like, they were going hurry up and getting to the line. And then McVay was literally playing quarterback in his ear.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's what he was that's what he was doing to Baker Mayfield when they beat the Raiders. Like, people were like, well, how did that happen? Well, he's in his ear for 15 seconds, like, calling hurry up and then telling him where to go with the ball because he's reading if it's man or zone because he's on the sideline. And we found out that we would switch the play within that 15 seconds. So we would come out in something and then we would switch a play and he didn't know. And then, or we would fake switch it to where he thought we switched it and it would be the original play. So it was the game within the game that you don't see on TV.
Yeah.
It was just an awesome display of football by our team of being in tune because we put in a new coverage within the 2 weeks that we've never ran, and it worked to perfection.
That's the chess game that you don't get a glimpse into unless Kyle comes on and tells us about what they're doing.
Because we're too busy watching the commercials during the Super Bowl.
Because the commercials are big during the Super Bowl, so that's true. So
yeah.
That's fantastic.
There were some good ones this last one. I like some of them.
Yeah, I agree. So,
hey, when you were playing opposite of BYU stars like Jamal Williams, Tyler Algier, Zach Wilson, Taysom Hill, and your job's to pound them into the ground, do you talk to them during the game?
No, I don't say anything to real. I used to when I was young talk a lot of trash, and as I've gotten older, I've figured like, man, I gotta save my energy to get to the next play. But no, I haven't. I didn't say anything to Tyler. I saw him after the game. I usually don't even see people after the game. I just shoot them texts. I saw Danny and Taysom during preseason. That was cool.
Yeah.
Talked to Taysom a lot. Felt like he got screwed over because he should have been the starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make sense when,
right.
somebody has a record of 4-1 and you don't give them opportunity to compete. It's just weird. What else? I didn't see Jamal, but I played against him when he was on the Packers. He's like my little brother, so it was just funny, like talking trash with him and like poking him in the ear hole and stuff when he had to get up, just random stuff, or like, putting my finger in his nose, messing with him. That's funny. I totally forgot about that.
Doesn't talk to him, but it pokes him in the nose.
Yeah. And then talking trash to Fred. When he runs out on the field, I'll run out late and then bump him, like watch where you're going. It's just fun playing against friends and teammates like that. And, I've had so many over these multiple years that I've played. It's really fun to line up against people and mess with them from, quarterbacks to running backs. It's really fun. I don't like any old linemen, so we're good on that.
Hey, I'm trying to think. Have you played against Burrows? You've played against Burrows, haven't you, Joe Burrows?
I haven't. No, he's the last. He's I've played every stadium, but he's like the only He's the only quarterback right now that I don't think I've played.
They've mic'd him up for a couple games. He kills me. Like, he doesn't talk smack. Like, he's too nice. No. I don't know what I would make. He's over there introducing to himself. Like, all the he's like, hey, I'm Joe Burrows. I wanted to meet you. Like, and the guys are like, yeah, I know you're Joe Burrows, guy. I know that.
Yeah. That's what Tom Brady does. He tries to lull you to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. Be the nice guy, right? Just no smack talk. Just be the nice guy. So,
like, shut up. I know what you're doing. It's not going to work.
All right, let's hit you up with 5 quick questions. Blaine, you ready to go?
Yeah, so we always ask people like just 5 quick ones that first answer that comes to the top of your head gets, and we'll get you these, and then we'll get you out of here. And you've been so gracious to spend so much time with us. So start with this one. Favorite sports movie?
Ooh, sorry, this won't be fast. Oh, man. I have no idea. You put me on the spot. I wasn't ready for this.
That's the nature of the 5 questions.
That's why we do this. Just first thing that pops in your head.
I mean, there's a couple. I like Remember the Titans. I like Glory Road.
Those are good.
Friday Night Lights. Those are a couple off the top of my head.
Nice. There's this kind of this battle going on between Remember the Titans and Rudy. Like we get guys going on.
Nah, Rudy sucks.
See, that's what that's what Gavin says. My
Thanks, Gavin.
Yeah,
he's a real one.
I think Papinga said Rudy. K-Pop said Rudy.
Of course he did, because that's him.
Yeah. Gavin's like, no, Dad, Remember the Titans. Rudy is garbage. Yeah. I'm like, come on.
Brady and K-Pop, that's them right there. They're that guy.
There you go. There you go. So, okay, favorite singer or band?
Singer.
Dave likes Dua Lipa. That's Dave.
Dua Lipa?
That's funny.
I'm killing because he doesn't even know who Dua Lipa is.
I do not know.
He likes AC/DC. Yeah. He couldn't tell you a Dua Lipa song.
Yeah.
I asked him the other day who just name one song by Tupac for me. He couldn't do it.
Oh man.
I was like, California?
That's
Dreaming?
okay.
Come on.
We got to get more culture. It's okay, Dave. I get it.
Thanks, Kyle.
I'm trying, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle in my corner.
Good.
But he did grow up here, and I did grow up in New York. That is a different thing.
I understand that. It's okay, and that's why he needs to get out of his comfort zone and go, come down to California, go eat with me in the hood. Yes. I like eating in the hood. You can come with me.
You got it.
He'll take care of you in the hood. Don't worry.
I'll take you in my fried chicken spot that I got out here called Gus's Chicken.
About.
Gus's Chicken?
Yeah.
So
Gus's Chicken. Really good.
So give us a singer or band. And Dave won't know who they are, but I will.
Singer. Oh, man. There's so many good ones. I mean, Beyonce's good. Miley Cyrus is good. I go for voices. Christina Aguilera's got a good voice. Adele's got a phenomenal voice. Post Malone's, his voice is really good because it's the same live. Miguel, his voice. I like to go off like how it sounds live.
Yeah, and here's what's funny. And I know you've seen this guy. Have you've seen some of Post Malone's old stuff? Like just singing ballads and stuff. Dude actually has a great voice. He could sing.
He's got a phenomenal voice. Plus, he lives in Utah. Shout out, Post Malone.
Yep. And I like the Christina Aguilera one.
Listen.
Nobody thinks of Christina.
This game is to choose one, not give us 7.
Well, he went first with Beyonce, and I'm all with him to the left. Okay,
so we can say Beyonce.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay. Favorite breakfast cereal.
Don't have one. I think cereal's bad for you.
Whoa, that's even healthier than Danny Ainge.
Yeah. Danny Ainge said shredded wheat.
Danny Ainge said shredded wheat without sugar on it. I was like, that's garbage. Yeah. That's like eating hay bales.
So what do your kids eat for breakfast? There's no cereal?
Smoothie.
Wow.
That's how we get them is greens, baby. Spinach, strawberry, banana, a little bit of honey. We're good to go.
See, people want to know how Kyle has been in the league for a decade right there. He's clean living and clean
I'm
eating.
actually doing intermittent fasting. That's my new thing, right?
Oh, yeah?
Man. Okay.
No.
Okay. So we're going to say cereal.
What was Max Hall's? What
good.
was Max Hall's? Was like Cocoa Puffs.
Cocoa Puffs was Max Hall.
Yeah, that's such a Max Hall right there.
Okay, so your favorite piece of advice from your dad?
Think it through. He may hear this.
Yeah. I would just say something as little as less attitude, more gratitude.
There we go. We always love these hooks. We would say less attitude, more gratitude. Honestly, I was just saying that today about my other work. I'm like young employees. I'm like, they just don't understand how awesome we all have it, and they need to be more grateful. Less attitude, more gratitude. I love that.
When you think,
but it's hard when you're going through it, right? When you're going through the growing pains of life, when you're at the bottom and you're grinding, that's when you gotta love it the most. Like, that's what separates you, is when you can find joy, or you can find something within when you have nothing, and pull yourself out of the dumpster fire, or, whatever you're at in life. And, if you're struggling with alcohol or drugs or whatever you are in situation, and you can pull yourself out and come out on top, man, and you can find joy in that. I think those people are badasses.
Yeah. It seems to be what keeps you grounded when you have everything. If you've gone through that,
to go through it,
yeah,
it's easy to be. Easy to be grateful.
That's very true.
Easy to be grateful when everything's going your way. The true stars are grateful when it's not going their way, and that's great advice.
And you had there's been a lot of times when things didn't go your way. We go before the contract, or before even coming out of McQueen High School in Reno, and you didn't have it easy, but you never once quit, which seems to be the secret to your success.
I was about to say something that nobody really knows is I was actually going to transfer from BYU. I did everything they asked. I went through the hoops for Bronco. I did all this stuff for him that people have no idea about. I did extra stuff. I did all the studying I need to. I was ready. I won't forget about this. It was my super freshman year when we played Washington, Jake Locker, and then we played somebody else, and then it was Air Force. I'll never forget this day because it was a whooping of all whoopings. It's like up on my charts of like, what games have you been whooped? That's one of them. Yeah. I think they rushed for like 450 yards. It was like September 11th, the 10-year anniversary. I mean, it was a setup. Anybody who was playing Air Force that day was losing.
It's going to be in trouble.
And I remember a player got hurt in that game, and they ended up throwing him back out there because they didn't trust me to play in the game. And I was like, my last straw. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm going to transfer because this ain't it. And I went into Bronco's office and said, look, I talked to my mom and dad. They're cool with it, but I'm going to transfer. And he was like shocked that I said this after everything. And I was like, I've done everything for you, and I've sacrificed everything. Like, I want to play football. I came here to play. I've done my homework. I'm a 3.0 student. Like, I had to be. I've done all these things, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, all right, give me 3 weeks. And if it doesn't change in 3 weeks, then I'll sign your release form and you can go wherever. Great. Waited 3 weeks. He ended up firing Coach Hill after the Utah State game. And then I played in the San Diego State game and made 3 plays in a row. And never came off the field after that. And that was the 3rd week too. How crazy is that?
Week 3.
Isn't it interesting how sometimes if we just stick it through, the whole rest of the story is this great thing, but we sometimes just see what's at the end of our nose, and we make a call as a young kid. Are you looking back? Aren't you grateful you stuck it out?
I am. I feel like it was good for me to be in that environment, and I think it was good for other people. I don't think there's ever been somebody like myself that has been of that magnitude, represented BYU on that level. I mean, you could probably say I was like the first African-American on defense of my magnitude to be the face of their program. So yeah, I was different. I have a little bit of zest. I say my opinions, and I'm not afraid. I think other people are petrified of that because they're probably scared I'm going to say something too far, whatever. But I mean, I speak my mind, and there's a lot of people like me that feel this type of way, not only in our religion, but at the same time that don't have a voice at the school. And I feel like I try to do my best to represent those people, but at the same time, I'm also someone that believes in the truth too. So if there are things that you're not doing right, I'm going to be able to say. Like, for example, I did a secret meeting with BYU last year during my bye week that no one knew about because I was sick of watching players that were good players not playing hard enough and representing players that sacrificed everything to play at that school or that sacrificed a lot to play the game, pass. Even people behind me, even a coach who sacrificed a lot in Kalani, I can go down the line, Beck, Max Hall, just guys that have given everything that they can, went through the ringer to play the game, while these kids, nowadays have NIL deals. They're a little spoiled, which is awesome. They deserve it. That's what we played for. But I was a little pissed of, how they weren't playing with enough heart. And I think they lost that weekend, but you could see the heart they played with. And it was against East Carolina. Right. They ended up losing that game, but you saw a big difference of how they played together, and they were, cheering each other on. And, there was less finger pointing and more of trying to figure it out. And I think it was cool to watch that group of men who ended up coming together and ended up going to a bowl game. I think that's awesome. They get that the rest of their lives. That's cool.
Well, it's cool that you, and Blaine's got one more for you, but I think it's cool that you got involved, stay involved, and the whole world's full of free spirits. And you know what? Yeah. We all have our opinions, and we get to say them.
I just wish my opinions were facts, right?
some of us are afraid to say it and never say it, and difference makers speak up, and you have a platform to do that.
Yeah, thanks. Well, if you guys have anything, just shoot it to me.
We got it. Well, and here's the thing. One of the reasons Dave and I decided we want to do this show, this format, is so people could come on and spend significant time, and people could get to know them, and we could talk about a lot of things, and people could give their opinion, and people could talk about the things that matter to them. Because most of the time when we're doing a TV show, it's a series of 3 and 4 and 5 minute sound bites. You know how that goes.
You now know that.
We can never tell the whole story. We can never get in deep. And so we have, we started this last spring, and we have just loved it because people can come on and they can tell us the stories that have made a difference. And it's been really, really fun. We're so glad that you would come on with us. We have one last question for you.
The grand finale.
This is the last of the 5, and that's, what's your favorite thing about being a dad?
Ooh. Well, for me, I think it's different because I'm adopted, and it's the first time I've met someone that has any DNA like me, any personality like me. So the joy I get and seeing my son achieve something, whether it's as little as, like, we were struggling a little bit with him potty training, and the joy that we got when he finally got it, and we'll never forget. It was like I had him over my shoulder like we won a football game, running around the island while my wife is jumping up and down holding my daughter. Just that moment we had, and for him to be so proud, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, good stuff.
Amazing.
That's great. You have amazing, unique perspective on that, and we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Give our best to...
All right, I got a question for y'all.
Okay, you said you had one for us before you go.
I got two. Okay, I got two.
All right.
The first one is, what do I got to do to get in the Hall of Fame?
You have your degree, right?
I do.
That's right, because you did finish.
And is it 10 years?
So BYU's two.
It'll be, I graduated in 13, so this is 10 years.
So BYU has two requirements. You have to be 10 years past your playing, and you have to have a degree. I don't know if you remember Jimmy Mann, my old teammate, who was phenomenal. Like, he set 76 NCAA records while he was here. It was years and years and years, and people kept asking me. I was like, Jim doesn't have his degree. And Tom Homo reached out and said, dude, we are getting you your degree. We're going to do it. We got professors that are willing to cooperate. His girlfriend was helping him down there. His kids were helping him. He got his degree, and as soon as he got his degree, we got him in that Hall of Fame, right? And so
that's awesome.
So you're coming up on that time frame.
I interviewed Jim, and he said he was on the 37-year plan.
Yeah, he was on 37.
That's awesome.
So what would it mean to be in the Hall of Fame? What would that mean to you and your family?
It would be awesome. I think it will be a cool story because it's somebody that had that believes in second chances. That was a second chance, and for those that feel like they can't see the light, I hope they can see the light with me and be able to, look at me and say, hey, it doesn't matter what age I'm at. You could be 40 years old. Like this kid, was headed down a path, maybe not to be successful, and turn it around. And maybe I can do that too.
That's a great story.
That's a great story.
Hall of Fame story. So look, we know some guys.
We'll follow up.
Yeah, you got to poke the bear for me.
We'll follow
I might not be too nice to those guys, right? You might not want to get me the mic either.
we know, as you know, we know some guys, and we can definitely have a conversation about that.
Now that you're going to be a TV analyst, there's an on switch and an off switch. And sometimes you have to have the off switch. But no.
See, there's that plug that you get to take out, right? And say what you need to say.
Yeah. Kyle, it's a good thing they don't roll the camera and the mic all the time. Sometimes at commercial breaks, I say some crazy stuff, right?
This last year.
Hot mic.
This last year, Dennis Pitta got in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And it was probably about 10?
I think he might have been, was he 10 years out or 11 years out? It might have been 11 years out. But that's, as soon as you hit that 10 mark, then they start to consider, okay, who's going to be in this class? Certainly, Kyle, you're going to be on that list.
Yeah, we have no doubt on that.
I hope so. I can't even get in my high school Hall of Fame.
What? McQueen? What are they even thinking?
Yeah.
That's Reno. We can't. I was in Vegas for 20 years. I don't know about Reno, but we do know that the guys, the men and women that are in the BYU Hall of Fame have done amazing things, and you've done amazing things. So that time's coming. All right, what's your other question?
Well, my last one's about both of you guys. You guys been in the business a long time. Where do you guys see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, do you guys want to do this the rest of your guys' life? Do you want to hang it up soon? Do you guys want to do a different avenue? Do you guys want to hang out with your families more, golf a little bit more? Where do you guys see yourselves in the future?
Well, Kyle, our lives are just about over. We're a lot older than you.
Yeah, we're old.
No, that's okay. That's okay. You guys you're still starting. I don't care.
One thing that works for us, and Blaine can answer this too, is we're in a position now where we do this because it's fun, and we love being on. We're in this new dimension of Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and live stream, which goes around the world. This shows for BYU fans around the world that if you have Wi-Fi, you're on board.
Yeah, you can be here.
And so that's fun. And what's fun for me is dealing with you, dealing with guys like you, men and women that are great stories. We come from a place we all love, BYU. It's all had. For most of us, it has had a positive impact on some direction that we took in life. Some larger than others, but it all goes back to when did we make the best decisions and what influenced us, and the BYU experience put you in a position to make good choices. One, to stay. Two, to say yes when Marissa asked you to marry her, and to manage a career and to have a family and win Super Bowls and all that stuff. I think that's what keeps us young, and it's what keeps it interesting, because it's always been about you go 10 yards and get a first down. What's interesting about that? It's the people who are doing it that make it interesting.
Right. Yeah. For me, Kyle, am I 34 years into this now, Dave? I think I'm 34 years into this. And there was a time when it was like, hey, let's grind and do this. And I was under contract with ESPN doing the Mountain West National Game of the Week, with NBC doing the Atlantic 10 Game of the Week during basketball. I was doing 45 to 50 basketball games a year and 17 football games. And I was having a great time. And then a few years ago,
all right,
we see one of the babies. Who is it?
One of the stars.
Yay!
Is this Trey?
Hi.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Trey.
Say what's up, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, can you say, hey, welcome to the Wise Guys.
Say peace and love.
Peace and love.
Whoa, much love to you, buddy.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, now, Kyle, I'm to the point where I don't want to do 80 events or 90 or 100 events a year. I want to do the things that I want to do. So I didn't renew my contract with NBC 2 years ago. I still may do a little bit of ESPN stuff in the future, but not like we used to. We want to do this kind of stuff, where we just have fun and reconnect with the people that we care about and take it around the world and create the content that we want to create and not be on the grind of me getting on an airplane every Tuesday night to go someplace and then coming home and going on Friday night to the East Coast and doing a game and coming home. I'm done with those days, and I'm in the days where we have more control over it and we can have fun being with the people that we want to be with. That's what it's about for me now, for however long.
That's
I'm healthy.
awesome. Good for you guys.
We tell kids when we speak to them, and you have the same opportunity in school, is pick something you love, and if you can find a way to make a living at it, you're happy at work, you're happy at home, because you spend most of your life at work. If you didn't love football, you'd be the most miserable person on the planet because you've given so much time to it. So the fact to love the game and come home, you love your family, it puts you in a spot that allows us to be happy, and we came down here to be happy.
Yep.
So that you've done that. That's a great example. We try to do that too, because you work to the sweat of our brow thing has been getting us since we showed up down here. We got to work, and so why not find something fun to do?
Yep, absolutely. So, and whether you want,
that's so cool. You guys are doing this together. I mean, so happy for you guys, and I hope much success. I hope you guys get all the cool people to come on your podcast, and it turns out to be awesome and everything you guys hope and dream for.
Thank you. We want you to know that when you're going for this NFL Network analyst stuff, you can call us anytime and say, and we'll help you however we can.
Yep, any way we can.
Now you're entering our realm. We never, Blaine was on yours. I never entered your realm and to your level, but now you're coming into ours, and we can be helpful, and we want you to know we're all in.
We're always here for you, brother.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys for the time and effort. You guys are always amazing to me, so I appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. Thank you.
Give a great big, it's so cool to meet Trey, and give a great big hug to Marissa for us, and we hope we see you up in Utah sometime soon.
We're teeing off at Riverside. You just say when.
Yep. Anytime.
All right, I can't wait.
Once all this snow
Okay,
melts.
hold on. What's your handicap?
We're not going to talk about that. We're out of time, Kyle. This
all right, good.
going.
All right.
So it's a single digit, but not by much.
Okay, awesome. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
All
Kyle.
right, see you, Kyle. Great to talk to you tonight.
What a visit with the great Kyle Van Noy. And, man, we almost had 2 hours with him. Who gets that? Just 2 hours of Van Noy unplugged.
He is one of the greatest players, but just such a fun person to be around. Always was when he was here.
Yeah.
Always loved being around Kyle when he was here. And he's like, he brightens a room when he walks into the room, right? He's got a big personality, but he's kind of a shining light, and he does say what he is thinking.
I think he's often misunderstood as, you heard it in his stories tonight. He had a great experience at BYU in some ways, and he had a rough experience in other ways. I think we've all had similar experiences, because it's not easy, whether you're a good student, or my brothers always talk about how they graduated. They were on the dean's list, and we remind them they were on the other list. The dean had 2 lists.
Yeah.
But they made a list. But it's about perseverance and moving through, and things that bugged you earlier don't bug you so much later as your perspective changes. I love that he's honest. I love that, it's not perfect there or anywhere. And he'll call that up. I love that he came up and and met with the football program after a 3-game losing streak just to say, guys, where's your heart?
Yeah.
Like, play harder. And then they did. And you know what? Sometimes it takes a peer to get somebody motivated. And it's like a coach can yell at you and tell you, but here comes Kyle Van Noy, who's done it all, didn't have it easy, never gave up, persevered, has 2 Super Bowl rings, and he's looking you right in the eye and saying, why aren't you playing harder?
Yeah. And he went through this in this show, but his start at BYU, first of all, getting to BYU was a rough go. His start at BYU was a little bit rough. He was right on the verge of getting out of here and then decided to stay and then flourished. And then that's the first time I heard about how miserable he was in Detroit. I'd talked to him many times and didn't know that story. He struggled in Detroit and then finally find a home in New England. And now here he is approaching a decade in the National Football League. You know how rare it is to play at a starting level for 10 seasons in the National Football League? That's rarefied air.
And you think about it, Mark Wilson was going to transfer. Jim McMahon wanted out. It doesn't go perfectly for everybody. You came and had to be a backup for 2 years.
Frank Kush talked to me about going to Arizona State.
Sometimes
I was thinking about it.
Sometimes what you think you're getting and what you're being prepped for are totally different. And if you just persevere through it, then you look back and you see the thread that had it all together, when at the time you think it's all unraveled. And it was just getting started.
Think about so many great things in Kyle's life. And I used to tease him like crazy when
Marissa is the best thing
when
in
he
his
was
life.
dating Marissa and then he got married, I would always say to him, I'm like, dude, seriously, you tricked her, you did something, like, you are unbelievable. That's why I was laughing at him earlier. But he looks back, when he look, all the things that are really, really important to him came to him after that 3 weeks that he gave Bronco before he was going to leave. And then he stayed. And all of those things came around. All these things that are so important to him in life right now came after he stuck it out and stayed.